Oh, Rich. Yes. Isn't it so funny looking back on the old days? Oh, hello. Hi. Welcome to Filling in the Gaps. This is kind of our modest little side project that myself and Cam put on. If you didn't know, myself, Rich from the heartland state of Ohio, and Cam from the biggest and baddest state of Texas. We hit the big leagues now. We're not just some goof and gaff podcast anymore. No, we've started an actual play podcast, which means that we've hit the big leagues, ladies and gentlemen. And because we've hit the big leagues, we've started to get some big league names on the show, which actually brings us to our guest today. Cameron, why don't you introduce the good people to our guest today?
Wait. Are you speaking, of course, to me, Cam, or
Richard?
Of course.
Richard,
I'm so sorry. I always get you two confused. You're just both so successful and handsome. No, yes. I'm sorry. Cameron, why don't you introduce? Cam, why don't you introduce? I'll let you guys introduce yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, the court. Pay your attention to the man coming down the marble stairs as we speak. The glorious, luxurious, implorious Cameron.
Yeah, hello there.
Supposed to make more of a clink sound.
Hey man, what's going on, dude?
Howdy. I'm a Southern tycoon. I struck gold. Nobody was doing actual play podcasts till I realized that I was just sitting on top of a gold mine. So I called my buddies over. We got it kicking. We got it popping, and we are drowning in it.
We got it locking.
Yes. We are popping and locking.
Doctor told us, don't you be swimming around in all that rich groundwater. and we said, sir, we're going to do it because we struck it. All right, man? So, I'll tell you what.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, for anybody who's tuning in for the first time.
Oh, yeah, hey.
What Filling in the Gaps is, what we will be doing, what we're all about, is we're just a brainstorming podcast. So we don't actually play D&D on this podcast, but our job is to give you some kind of inspiration so you can actually play next time you're sitting down with your friends or your party. We know sometimes coming up with ideas is just hard, so we're here to help. We roll 2 D20s. We come up with a different theme and scenario, and we just mash them together, whether they fit or not. And more often than not, we find that they fit. So hopefully you can get something good from today. But we also, myself, Cameron, and Adam, and that doesn't get confusing at all, started an actual play podcast, which kind of was a little bit of the brainchild of Cameron from over at the Coventry podcast. Cam, why don't you talk a little bit about what Heritage was and what the DM's Treehouse is, and then we can get on into the episode.
Oh, yeah, okay. So yeah, like Rich said, I do the Coventry podcast, actual play podcast thing, and we finished up the first season, so I wanted to do some filler content while kind of like getting the next stuff ready, and I said, hey guys, do you want to play in this dumb superhero game with me? And everybody said, sure, sounds like a good time. And then we all got really sad.
Then we all got really sad and cried together.
Yeah.
Because it was great.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was so much fun creating, I don't know, just like in the 5 episodes that we played, I feel like we did a lot of things that I haven't done in playing tabletop games, I guess, in terms of like going into stories and emotions. It sounds weird to say it out loud, but yeah, it was wonderful, and getting to play with these guys was fantastic. And we were talking about just kind of DMing games for each other anyway, because we're all usually just DMs. We never really get a chance to be a player. That's kind of how it all started, was just us talking about, DMing games for each other and swapping off who was going to be running what. That way everybody got a turn. And yeah, now we're recording those things, and yeah.
It was mostly for us. It was mostly for us. We just wanted to hear ourselves again after we got done playing. We wanted to be able to go back and relive those moments.
Like, ooh, that was so good. Ah, so ooh, man.
Remember that time I cried, and then you held me in your arms, And then I got to listen to it again, and I cried, and I listened while I was crying while I was listening, Rich, and then you held me in your arms while you were listening to me crying,
and it just keeps going. And we're recording this. Oh, it's beautiful. But so here's the thing. So we started the new podcast. We think it's a lot of fun. We think you guys will enjoy it. So what we want to do for our Filling in the Gaps fans is if you guys head on over to the iTunes DM's Treehouse, that's the name of the podcast. It's a lot of fun. If you head over there and you leave a review and you take a screenshot of the review and you either send it to our email at mailfillinginthegaps@gmail.com, or if you hop on our Discord, it's one of the best ways of getting in contact with us, and shoot the screenshot to us on there as well. What we're going to do is after, how long did we say, Cameron, we were going to let this giveaway go for? Did you say like 3 weeks?
Yeah, it'll be 3 weeks. Let me actually pull up a handy dandy calendar so that I can see.
So while he's pulling that up, what we're going to do is we're going to pick from people who send us screenshots of their review. We're going to go ahead and pick 3 people from all of that list randomly. And myself and Cam are actually going to run a one-shot for those 3 people over Discord, using one of the themes and scenarios. And that could be, we might give you guys a few, like, to say, well, I prefer this one or this one, and we'll see if there's one you guys all agree on. If not, we might even just make a new scenario and do one right there on the spot. But we think it'll be a lot of fun. Really, if one thing, the Roaring fundraiser taught us that you guys are a lot of fun to play with. So we'd like to do that more, and we think this is a cool way of kind of starting that off. So go ahead and write a review. Make sure at the bottom of the review, you include something about grilled cheese, or something about what was it, horseradish sauce, or just say rise above Shannon. You know, whatever it is, whatever you guys say.
Hashtag rise above Shannon. That's the key.
Hashtag rise above Shannon. We haven't seen her in a while, but she's still out there somewhere.
Shannon somewhere around there. Yeah.
And then,
in addition to this, guys, as well, Rich, sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to.
No, you're fine.
Point this out real quick. If you go and leave a review on our iTunes page, Rich told me, and I want to make sure everybody's aware. Rich told me he will physically send anyone that writes a review within the next 4 days, send them $1,000 out of his bank account. And so
now that's 100% true.
True, 100% true.
Definitely not a lie.
Rich is a philanthropist, and more importantly, he panders really to an audience, and so he's just his key goal is to really just grow an audience in the most inorganic way possible. And that generally.
So I just screenshotted a review that I wrote.
Oh, look at that! Check your bank account though. Look at that.
What?
Check your bank account.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there it is, bud. $1,000.
That's so great.
No, there's 1,000. No, it's coming.
This is going to backfire.
Oh,
yes.
There it is.
Yes. Congratulations, our first $1,000 winner.
Oof. Oh,
it's
man.
there in the name.
If you want more money from Rich's personal bank account, let me know.
More money. If you want to be happier in life, if you want to be in a better relationship, if you want to have that dish that your parents used to make for you that was so good, if you want that right now, if you want to lose weight, improve your health, leave a review. I promise personally that all those things will get better if you leave a review.
Wow.
100%.
That's incredible. I have one other thing to ask about that review process real quick.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Shall we roll?
Let's do it. These transitions into the let's roll are getting better and better every single.
That's really good. I didn't see that coming.
So for a guest episode, Cameron, what we usually do is I'm going to be rolling today for the scenarios. Cam will be rolling for the themes, and you'll roll 2 d20s, 1 for each, and then out of those 4, you're going to pick what you want to talk about for this episode. So once again, I'm rolling for scenarios, Cam's rolling for themes, you're rolling for both. And are you guys ready to do it?
Let's do this thing.
Let's roll some dice. Oh, I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1 for these scenarios. What'd you roll, Cam?
I rolled a 12.
A 12?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what'd you get, Cameron?
I got an 18.
All right, a 1, a 12, an 18.
And then, what was your last roll?
Give us one
that
more. One
is
more
a
sweet
10.
roll.
Okay.
All right. Now, Cam, while you crunch these numbers and figure out what Cameron's choices are, let me tell you guys about Libris Arcana dice. Look, dice. Have you heard of them? You need them for playing all sorts of games? Come on, it's day one stuff. If you want some dice, you should check out LibrisArcanaDice.com. They send you very affordable dice every single month right to your door, a nice full 8-piece set. It's random dice, though. That's the only thing. You don't know what color, you don't know what design you're going to get, and that's part of the fun. We here at Filling in the Gaps like that little bit of randomness, so we like Libris Arcana Dice. Check them out. If you use our promo code FITG, you'll get 25% off your first order, and that's just a good, just a spicy discount. So check them out. Let them know that we sent you, and let's keep making ASMR kissing sounds into the mic. Why, Cam, you tell us what our choices are.
Okay, Cameron. Here you go, bud. So your themes are one of two things: zookeeping, brought to us by the Papaya Warrior, or rock music, brought to us by Molly. And your scenarios are come across a cult performing a sacrifice, brought to us by Vractorum.
MVP.
Or a monster walks into a bar, brought to us by Mykaruba99. So
Mykaruba.
Okay, these two things I think go together very well. I'm gonna go with rock music for the theme. And coming across a cult performing a sacrifice for the scenario, because that's just too good.
Okay,
I like this. Okay, so let me ask you, Cams, both of you, whichever wants to speak up first. Here is the question: when you think of rock music and when you think of coming across a cult performing a sacrifice, what are you seeing in your head? What scenarios are you seeing? What pictures? What enemies? What's going on in your head right now?
Here you go, Cameron. You're our guest. Please.
This is D&D.
This
is anything right now.
This is high fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Is it high fantasy?
It could be low fantasy. It could be a techno world. It could be
lo-fi fantasy. Okay, so we're doing lo-fi music, chill beats to study to.
Got it.
And
chill beats the sacrifice too.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to pick between a modern setting or like a D&D setting, because I don't really know what rock music would be like in a D&D universe.
So I know this was kind of a goof, kind of a gaffe to say the lo-fi beats to sacrifice to, but what if that's something we play off of? Like, what if specifically the music is tied to this sacrifice? Maybe even like a Pied Piper thing. Where the music has some sort of, which I know bards kind of learn a lot of spells that are very like friends and stuff like that. We could play off some sort of beat or something that just kind of mesmerizes people, which could either be like a twist, like a Pied Piper, where the music's cheerful and you're like, whoa, what's up with that? Or it could be more of like a dull bass note, like abyssal horror, like just it gets in your head and kind of like lulls you, but that doesn't mix with rock music though.
I think of Satanic Panic, and back in like the 40s and 50s, and how parents were like, "Don't let these children listen to rock music and everything like that, because it'll corrupt your mind and make you believe in the devil and everything like that." But this, in my mind, is like the personification of if that was true, like their fears were real. In other words, like you listen to Black Sabbath, you'll summon the devil. And so these bands are coming in to the town, and they're trying to get the kids to listen to rock music and then sacrifice all the children of the town in a big ritual.
It sounds like an evil player party. Like you have a bard and a warlock who are just working together, or even a warlock that's also a bard. And he made this pact to a demon to be like, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to give you all this power. You just have to sacrifice people to me. And in doing so, I'll continue to give you more power. And the bard just uses his music to do that.
What about, so we know in sort of 80s glam rock, dudes are very androgynous. Mm-hmm. And what if the band, the people who are playing this music, they're very, very handsome. So we could just cast it with Cam. Kim is playing all of the band members.
Got it.
Gotcha. I like this already.
Yeah.
They're male sirens.
Ooh.
Are they all
at least,
bald?
like,
Are they all bald?
One of them is. Yeah, but you all got wigs.
No, why?
Why
hide this?
This is
okay. No, the bass.
Oh,
all right,
okay.
the bass player is bald for sure.
Okay.
But the lead singer has to have those luscious long locks.
Yep. I agree. And then the drummer needs to take that to the extreme where he's like all hair,
like Cousin It.
Like Cousin It.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Really, if I could have a preference for the band in this scenario, it would be the Muppets band. But I understand if we want to go with the all cams. I get that.
The all cams.
I like the all cams.
What's the band name?
AC/DC. Armor class difficulty class or armor class
all
difficulty.
Cams. AC/DC.
Damn, Cam.
Yep. That's it. That's the
all
one.
cams. Damn
That's the
cam.
one.
Everybody will all cams. Damn cam. Let's rock out.
I really like the idea.
And some of the devils below.
Dude, I really like the idea of male sirens though. Actually, this honestly to me sounds like, not to plug DM's Treehouse, but it sounds like episode 5 a little bit. Like
a little bit.
Just a little bit. And I like that. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but
yeah, no. So this was actually one of the first ideas that I had for. Actually, now that we say that out loud, I realized that I was kind of thinking of something pretty similar. But I'm actually going to stop talking because maybe people haven't heard it and they could connect the dots pretty quickly.
That's true. Okay, so we've got a band of sirens pulling into a town, and they're using music. We're still saying to kind of charm people, or that's kind of like the hook that gets them. What is it? Just these 4 sirens, or is it the whole like roadie crew? I know going way back to Rakshasa Horror Picture Show, the whole circus was involved in like kind of moving from town
I think
to town.
actually there's going to be a lot of mirrors with this in that episode. And Cameron, if you're not familiar, Traveling Circus, Rakshasa Horror Picture Show, there was a Rakshasa running a circus, and it was essentially hypnotizing entire towns and then feeding on the people and keeping the useful ones for the circus to move on to the next town. What
if this is his return? Cam, we always talked about this Rakshasa showing up later on if he survives, if he escapes.
And this is the Rakshasa. He said, "You know what?" he said, "I'm done with the circus life. The jig is up. Everybody doesn't believe me, and now I'm going to hold a musical contest, and these are the bands that I plant into that contest, and maybe some of the townsfolk can try to come in, but he's got new plans, and it's all sacrifice."
Dude, because he is a demon. I think Rakshasas they're devils. I'm sorry. But he's a devil, so he does eat. Like, they do eat people. But they're just smart about it. They're kind of like vampires. They're not just going to go like nom nom everybody they see. So he could be trying to get like a specific power level of person, or specific like adventurers in particular, or just that was the whole circus thing, is everything at the circus was evil and would eat people. So they would rob the town, eat a few of the people, and then move while everyone's in this haze from being charmed. So we could essentially just do something similar. You kind of, as the rock show goes on, though, are just peeling back the curtain of like, so it's not like you stumble into a room and there's like a bunch of bald people with skinny daggers and pointed noses and robes. It's more like you're slowly starting to see things.
Well,
as
I think you could do it in a different way, in the sense that like the Rakshasa Horror Picture Show was built around a centralized circus, and being from Austin, festivals are like always happening, and they're always spread out all over the place. Like South by Southwest, for example, isn't a centralized location. There's just like pods all over the place. And so I would think that maybe if this is after the failed attempt from the original Rakshasa, having to, like try to do the thing with the circus, now he's trying something different, where instead of putting all his eggs in one basket with the singular circus, he's sending out multiple shows trying to convert people through that as well.
I like that. Dude, that could be sweet. So you're saying like maybe a battle of the bands or some type of competition. I think you threw that out there at one point, but at least this you're in a city, you're in a large town, and there's like this stage that's going on over here, and then this part of the town they're putting on this type of show, and this town they're putting on this type of show, and your party could maybe even get split up and see different things, or they just travel from one stage to another. But you always got to make sure that if they're at one stage, they hear about something that happens at this other stage, or if they're at this stage, they which is maybe go ahead.
Super easy. It's super easy to do because I got my band this week. You put the band around the wrist, and I am going to see all these amazing bands this week, and I cannot wait. And it's going to be the AC/DC and the Guns and Flumps. I don't know D&D. I don't know D&D. I don't know. I'm trying to think of D&D themed rock and roll. Hey, in the comments, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave your favorite D&D rock band name, okay?
Oh,
thanks.
There's going to be so many out there.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, I like that. I think the biggest thing for this type of session is going to be similar to the boats session. Wow, this is the session of, did you listen to this episode? But it's gonna have to ride on the backs of NPCs. I think there have to be a few NPCs that players care about, whether that's they meet a band or whether that's they just meet some other people or they know people in this town, because we have to get them to kind of care about the NPCs so that the NPC can then dispense like, oh, this happened at this stage, or I went missing. Where's this guy at? He said he would meet us back here.
Yeah, it could be a simple case of kind of setting it up beforehand where you have maybe an NPC that the party is really familiar with, and they walk in and they see this NPC listening to some AC/DC, and they just seem really into it, and they're kind of not responsive at first, just to kind of hint at a little bit of stuff going on with the music whenever they're listening to it. But if they split up, this NPC that they know, it's like, I'm going to that AC/DC concert, so I'll catch you later. We'll meet back up at this point. But maybe they don't. Maybe they don't show back up because something happens with them, and that's kind of an indication.
So what if too,
or like a means to get them there, I guess.
So I'm thinking about like going to like modern shows, and if there's like multiple bands going on, like it's easy for us to be like, okay, we can split up and then just text me when you're done, or call me when you're done. What if we even kind of, I can just see a really cool plot being like, Cameron, what you were saying, this NPC like goes and listens to a band and then kind of starts acting weird. What if it's this NPC's like, hey, I'm gonna go check out this band, I think they're a lot of fun, players can join or not, but I think it's especially cool if they don't join, for him to give them like a sending stone or something, like, well, hey, here's a sending stone, like I picked it up, it lets us communicate a little bit, so just like be in touch if you guys are going anywhere else. We'll meet up after the show or whatever. And then for after that show, for him just to be able to say, because sending stones too, there's a limit on words you can say. So for him just to be able to say something like, hey guys, I met the band and I'm gonna go, like they asked if I wanted to go backstage and hang out for a little bit. I'm gonna go do that. I'll see you guys. Like I'll see you guys later on today, like here or whatever. And if the players like aren't super suspicious of like some players will be like, we should go investigate that. Some players will be like, okay, no big deal.
Yeah, and some players will be like, is there a T-Mobile that I can boost up my words per month on these stones?
Yeah. But I think that'd be a cool way of then having him not turn up. Or if he has the sending stone, it'd be a cool way of like, maybe he gets captured and he like kind of turns on the sending stone, and however many words are left, that's all you hear is like him say some words that are like super suspicious sounding, or like, hey, I need help, or like, hey, come find me, or something like that. And the player's like, what's going on? That's super weird.
You're catching the tail end of a conversation between the band, as if he's just turning it on for a split second.
I can dig that as well. So let's zoom out for a second. So the Rakshasa is in town, back again, his evil ways. It took us 51 episodes to get back here, but here we are.
Here we are.
So the Rakshasa, what is his goal? Does the Rakshasa's goal remain the same this time, or is it different? with a different, or is it the same with a different approach? Or obviously it's a different approach, but
his goal last time was just get a lot
consumption.
Of money.
Yeah, consumption of people, human beings, and then expanding his reach so that he pretty much had a consistent source of food at all times.
Maybe his thing now is it's still consumption, but maybe it's more specific. Like before, he was more like consumption, like buffet. Go to a town, eat or consume most, like a good portion of the town. Maybe now with like all of this musical stuff, he's being more like picky. Like, hey, we're gonna use this charm music to be very specific about who we target, and we're either going to get them to join us or we're going to just eat them.
Maybe there's...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, I just think that that's a really good idea for being picky, because if this band is getting so big, at the end of a show, he can just point and say, you, and you, and, he's pulling some back to maybe be roadies or whatever that will continue on or whatnot, and then other people are just gonna get little num bites on them and go bye.
Go bye.
You're gonna go bye.
3 death saves. Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, so I want it to be more than just consumption. I want the Rakshasa to grow a little bit.
Well, our scenario is actually that you're coming across the cult performing a sacrifice. So what would make the Rakshasa go beyond consumption? Like, what would he be trying to do with a sacrifice? And is it a case of he's still being very selective at this point, or that's what he has done to feed himself, but now this is a mass sacrifice with possibly everyone in attendance? It could go either way, I guess.
I kind of think of lineage. Almost one would even say a heritage.
There it is.
I think of like what would towards the end of the Rakshasa's days, because they're not immortal. I don't assume they are. Are they immortal, Rich?
I think when they die, they actually respawn. So they might be close to immortal.
Can they have kids?
I don't think so.
No?
So this could even be that if you kill the Rakshasa, he like respawns. Because they do, when they die, they come back. And they have, I think when they die too, the flavor text actually says they know exactly where the person who killed them is. And they're very good at plotting revenge.
Well, what about this?
That only works for people who ran this, though. So.
What about if the Rakshasa was so tired of being alive and so done with this existence that is pure hell that they are coming to grips with the end of their days? Because in a sense they are immortal, right? They're born again every single time, so they don't really truly die. So maybe this Rakshasa's goal is to end its own existence forever, and this sacrificial ritual at this rock show is what will allow for that to happen. But it comes at the cost of all these people. So we have a good motivation from a bad guy's perspective. Obviously, like, it seems reasonable to want to end it. Now the means to that end is no bueno, obviously, and so you can't just let that happen. So your players are stuck in this. They're not like stuck with a hard decision, but they're stuck with so you're gone forever, but it's at the cost of all these people. Or, we just keep on doing this whole same old song and dance. How does that sound? Does that sound stupid? Does that sound smart? Does that sound brilliant?
It sounds good for a player, but doesn't sound good for a villain. Or at least for this villain.
Why doesn't it not sound about go for a villain? I feel... Because he's like...
I can relate with a villain who just says, look, I just want to die. All right? I'm just tired. I think that as a DM, I could really embody that role.
My only wondering is, I wonder if it'll play out well with the whole sacrifice thing. So, like, he has to sacrifice himself. He needs to sacrifice a bunch of people to kill himself.
Yes.
I feel like most players will end up saying, like, no, we're not going to do that. You have to keep living. Like, we're not going to sacrifice a bunch of people to kill you.
Exactly.
But then what if it's also
he fights them.
What if it's...
And then tries to kill them, and then continues to do it again and again. He figured out his way out. Gotcha. He's like, I'm no longer going to live forever. But if you get in my way, I'm gonna kill you, and then I'll do this again. I will never. I am inevitable. I'm Thanos. Our Rakshas's name is Thanos. So Thanos Shasha.
So we can go the sad boy Rakshasa route, but then also what if by doing a mass sacrifice, when you kill a Rakshasa, there's enough, I don't know, maybe this sounds weird, but if you're just kind of opening up that portal to hell or whatever, by killing a bunch of people and having their souls dragged down, it's enough of a force to drag down a Rakshasa, and this person is trying to take out another Rakshasa.
What if we move away from this being a Rakshasa and we just go back to it being like a plagued artist? So maybe it is just a band who's made like a deal with the devil, and then they want out. So they're trying to pay off their side of the bargain that they made so that they can get out of the bargain.
Okay.
Which implies that same thing.
Okay, now that's really good. I was about to be like all on the cam train with the whole territorial thing with the Rakshasa. I don't know. Rakshasa. That's how you. I don't know how. Rakshasa. But actually, now that you say this, Rich, now my mind. A person sold their soul to the devils below. To
go from being a small band to be
the greatest band of all time, and then now they need to sacrifice everybody to clear their name on this contract, and so
because I think too, I could see that they want out. Like, sure, there's like the glamorous side to fame, but there's also like the terrible side, especially if it's fame given to you by like a devil. Yeah. Which is so you're just kind of like wanting to get out of it. You're wanting to be done. Like maybe you're wanting to go back to your old life. So he's like, just he signed the dotted line, and there's literally a payment. Like it says like we need this much blood from you or this many souls from you or whatever. So he's like, I know, and maybe he hasn't done it for the longest time because, like you said, Cam, he's like, okay, I'm not. Like, what you're getting at with him being like, okay, I'm fine, this is no big deal. But now he's like, I know that this is a big payment. I know it hurts a lot of people, but I'm to my wit's end, and I just want out.
Yeah, and there's got to be a reason as to why this person's motivated now after not doing it. Like, maybe they've built up it's just like the movie, right? And there's no movie, but it would be a great movie. Where, essentially, the person sells their soul to the devil. The devil gives them a contract, give them a timeline, probably be the best thing to do, right? And then say, you must deliver this many souls to me through the power of your music, for which time you will be set free. And go ahead.
I have an idea.
I love Ooze.
Okay, so I think I'm not sure of his name, but there's either a demon lord or a devil lord called like Galibriazu or something like that. And he's more focused on like charm and seduction and stuff like that. What if I'm trying to think of like the devil twist to a contract? Like if that makes sense, like the gotcha. So what if he's like, hey, I want to,
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to make I want to be the best band ever. Like I want to have songs that everyone throughout the world is singing and that they're getting stuck in their head or whatever. And Galibriazu or whatever is like, okay, cool, sound the dotted line and I will do that for you. And maybe this is just, I'm trying to think of like the movie version of how it would go. Maybe it's just like that this guy he's able to write these amazing songs because he can never not hear music. Like there's always just music going on in his head, like all the time, like day and night and day. Like maybe he's not getting good sleep. Maybe he's kind of like going crazy. He's at his wit's end, but he makes this beautiful music. And maybe people even said like, man, when he plays, it's like it just like gets inside of me. It gets in my head. Like there's just something about it that seems so good. And maybe even when you talk to him, this artist can say things like that, like, oh, this music's just a part of me, or I can't escape from the music, or whatever. And that's literally it, is that he just always hears this music. And you could even maybe put that into the boss fight, where your players start to get that. Maybe one of your players even gets kind of like affected by this bard's curse or something like that, and so for a long time they just hear music. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Is it Glabrazu? Is that
sounds right?
It says that Glabrazu takes great pleasure in destroying mortals through temptation, and these creatures are among the few demons to offer their service to creatures foolish enough to summon them. So that sounds like pretty much straight up what it is. So, and they, oh man, this thing looks so sick, and it also looks like it can play a guitar as well. That it can play guitar while killing you. It's just like he'll chop your head off with his claws, but then he's also going to shred on a dime bag guitar. So, that's awesome. I never knew this thing existed. You know, the Glabrazu. The Glamrazu. We're going to call him the Glamrazu because he's going to be he's going to have beautiful flowing locks. So yeah, I think that's a good overall, like, that's our side of the thing from a DMing perspective. Like, that's what the plot line that we need, our hook line, if you will, for the players. Mm-hmm. So then comes the bands and the different events and what's causing this all to happen. And I would like to think that this band is so strong and powerful that they're really hard to get into, right? Like, it's like the exclusivity of seeing this band live, and maybe this NPC is so excited to do so, which is causing them, you know, to be able to do the sacrificing, stuff like that. So, with that being said, how would the Glamour become aware of players trying to stop this plan? Like, what would be the motivation for these other entities blocking the players? Like, how could they become aware of the players doing stuff?
I think I think it's I think one thing that you can do is, I think it's important to differentiate between if it's a solo musician with a backing band versus a whole band. Because if you have a whole band that, you know, maybe summon this demon together and they're starting to have conflicting opinions about it. Like, one person is all about it. They love what is going on. They love that they're finally getting the fame. One person is starting to regret it, I guess, for, you know, the reasons that you stated, and all of that. So maybe there's like already conflict within the band, and that's how the demons are aware. And I think that gives your players a choice. Like, once they kind of learn the opinion of each band member, I guess they have a route to appeal, I guess.
What if it's the same thing as you were saying, with like the different band members saying different things? But the flip side, if it is just a solo artist with a supporting band, but the band still knows each other. So maybe like the head man, he made the deal with the devil. And so you have like these two band members that just love how big they've gotten. They're like, dude, this is awesome. We've never been this big before. We're making so much money. It's just, but you do have that other band member who maybe is even the person who reaches out to your party or is just looking to reach out for help. And they're like, dude, he hasn't been, like, the past few months, he just hasn't been the same. There's just something about him where he's just been like making like sloppy mistakes. He just seems, sure, the music's good, but he just seems more disturbed, more tired, more at wit's end, if that makes sense.
Ooh. Okay, so they wouldn't even know about the deal.
Yeah, they wouldn't know about the deal, and it's just the solo artist who's looking to pay this price to be done. Like, I'm wondering if even the Galiabriazu or whatever doesn't necessarily even show up as an enemy, because he doesn't care. Either way, he's either torturing this one individual, or he's like making all of these other people have to die. So either way, he ends up causing chaos. And if it's more of just you're fighting against this solo artist, I don't know though. I can't see that doesn't encounter.
It's funny because I feel like we're creating less of a session and more of just a really fleshed out NPC, whether it be an enemy or a big bad or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Because I just feel like there's a lot of motivation for this individual. Now you can build off that. There's like a bunch of tendrils that all stretch in different directions as to what you can do, different encounters that you can partake in, all this kind of stuff. Fighting on an entire, like having a fight, crowd surfing would be pretty crazy.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Pretty dope. Fighting on a concert stage would be pretty amazing. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with this kind of stuff. But the big thing is, to me, is how do we allow for our players to progress through this situation? Because obviously we know what his motivations are, and then the dissension amongst the ranks for them is relatively easy to sort of like build up in our own minds.
Yeah.
But how do we then present this to the players in a way that allows them to stop it? Maybe they're established heroes is one of these, maybe one of these band members finds out about this deal and now is coming to grips with it to the point of where they're saying this can't be done. Yeah. They need to seek out some help or something. What do we do in that regards? How do we initiate our players?
I like the idea of one band member finding out and reaching out for help. I feel like this session is a one shot. It's like it's an in between arcs. You're going back to the town, and it's like, hey, when you get back to the town, like to sell your stuff,
there's a concert.
There's a show going on. It's awesome. And so your players just make some stuff for your players to enjoy, and we can even talk about what are some of those things would be, like some mini games, or like you could have your players do a battle of the bands or something like that, just to do some fun. But then to get to more of like the boss fight, quote unquote, or the conflict, you have this band member reach out and say like, hey, like I'm a part of the headliner. Maybe you can even tease this band out, have them play like an opener, and they're going to play a closer or whatever. And they just say like, hey, over the past few months, I've been noticing this about, so-and-so lead singer Cam. I've been, hi, I'm Cam, the bassist, and I've been learning about lead singer Cam that over the past few weeks, he hasn't been the same. There just seems to be this weight on him. Maybe they even say like, I specifically heard this or saw this. I'm kind of nervous about what he's going to do during the closer.
He looks better than ever. And my God, he's felt like he's just shredded. And he can he's got the pipes, like he's got just vocal cords like nobody can believe. And he's just such a great, nice human being. But he does want to summon the devil. I got it. I heard it through the grapevine. So, yeah. I also like that this band has the balls enough to be able to open and close for themselves. I think that's
well, if it's a festival,
that's a power move right there. That's a power move.
Like they start the festival and then they close just because I feel like for the player's sake, you can't just be like, oh, it's this band you've never seen about, never heard about, whatever. But if they play like in one of the opening mini games, and then or if they're just like around, so your player's like, oh yeah, that band, yeah, they were.
You could also alternatively, if you're planning to use this way down the road, you can just have this band pre-devil summoning playing at a tavern in like a new town that they go to. And it's just kind of a throwaway. Yeah, it's just like a throwaway comment or something like, oh yeah, here's this band. They're kind of bad, but they're all hunks. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
They're all bald, but the next time you see them, they all have full, beautiful golden locks. They're like, hey, remember us? Yeah, you saw us in that freaking tavern. Well, look who's singing now, baby.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about how they uncover this plot. And even if we don't necessarily fill out the plot, I feel like the listeners, they might know where they want to take this. But let's just give them some ideas for tension moments or uncovering a mystery moments or combat moments. Like Cam, you'd said earlier about fighting on a stage. Just stuff like that so people can kind of have something in their ammo bag.
Maybe there's some like ritualistic stones or chalk that is used to draw out the pentagram that creates the portal. and your players find some of the roadies drawing the lines around the entire crowd.
That's dope. I love that.
And so you're having to stop them from drawing the lines, and you start to see some of the lines burning the grass or something like that. So,
what if it's something with hanging lights or hanging banners or stuff like that too? Because then you can even do something.
Think of the Goofy movie.
Yeah, dude.
But, the bad guy's just power line.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you listen to each other's heart. Yep, exactly.
But imagine too, like on the ground or in the air as the music's playing, you just start to see these things like begin to glow more intensely, and then you have to figure out how to like stop them or cut them down. That's a cool like Arcana check mini game or skill check mini game. No, I like that idea. Cameron, what are you thinking? Got anything?
Am I Cameron?
Yes.
Or are you talking?
Wait, you're Cameron? You're Cameron?
Uh-oh.
We're doing this again, guys.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, look at us with our actual play podcast. It's already out right now on iTunes. Make sure to leave a review and subscribe on our Spotify as well, and share with all your friends. Oh, look at us.
One idea I had, I think Galabriazus, the demon itself, knows the spell Power Word Stun. Maybe that's even part of the whole sacrifice, is this guy has the power to use Power Word Stun, and he wants to do it. Maybe that's where the ritual stuff comes in, or the chalk, or a microphone, or whatever, and he's going to cast the spell on everyone in the crowd and stun them. So you're trying to figure out, that way, like, it's not just taking him down, you have to take down, like, the microphone, or you have to take down the amplifiers, magical or not. Like,
there's nothing better in movies, and it's a specifically comedic fight. But for some reason, fighting in audio booths in movies always seems to go really well. Like, it's always funny. It's always a good, memorable scene. But like fighting with the sound man over the different levels of the actual concert itself, I think would be pretty interesting.
Oh, gosh, dude. What
as he's about to use Power Word Stun, turn it down, and he's just like you can't hear him.
He's like, so he only gets a few people. What if okay, so as you were talking about fighting in the booth, I just had this idea of like, okay, why is this guy in the booth just gonna fight? If you're like, no, he's gonna like summon the devil, he'd be like, whoa, that sounds intense. Yeah, let's put a stop to this. What if this guy has been using some kind of power given to him to actually like pseudo possess people? So when you're fighting the sound guy, you're not just fighting the sound guy, you're fighting the sound guy who has like all these additional powers because he's been like super devil charmed, or maybe you're
super
fighting
roadies.
Yes, or like super roadies. That way it's not just like, stop, that man's doing an evil, and everyone's like, yeah, he is doing an evil, thanks for saying that, wow, we totally missed it.
Foo Fighters is on stage 2. We're gonna go over there.
Yeah.
Screw this guy.
That's a really good point about stopping the sound guy. What if we just scrap all of the thing about the band and the bad boy is the sound guy?
That would be the twist. That would be the twist. He's the best.
Just sound booth guy.
He made a deal with the devil to be the best sound man
Sound
ever.
booth guy?
Yeah.
Dude, his levels are insane.
Yep.
Like, no matter where you're at, crystal clear at all times.
Yeah.
It's like, do you guys ever watch Community?
No.
Well, there's an episode of Community where this guy goes into being like a maintenance worker. Like there's like a community college thing for it, and he's like the chosen one of air conditioner repair. And at one point they take him to a room, and he's like, what's this room? It just feels so special. And he's like, you know when they talk about room temperature? This is the room. And he's like, it's perfect. It's self-contained.
Well, it does. I know this is off track, but the sound guy would have great motivation to be the one to summon all these people, and maybe the riches, or like not summon all these people, damn all these people to hell. He's like, time after time, I gotta sit up here and deal with these jerks' voices and all this kind of stuff. And then whenever that guy's about to sing, he just turns the mic to himself, the sound guy, maybe back in the booth. and does the power word stun.
Dude, this, oh my gosh, why didn't we think about this earlier? It's such an interesting twist. Because the band, because people are going to assume rock music. Of course, the band's going to be evil.
It's the band.
But maybe he's even like giving them a certain song to sing, or he's like laid out the cables in a certain way that when a certain thing happens, like he's going to stun everybody, including the band. That'd be such an interesting twist to take on it. And he kind of forms a little magic barrier, a little magic demon fire barrier around the sound booth. So you have to be like fighting demons that are coming out of the amplifiers as like he's protected. Maybe you even have to continue to protect the band as they're singing because they have to finish the song in order for like you to get to the sound guy. So you're kind of like pseudo performing / protecting / killing demons like a true rock concert.
Maybe they're a Christian rock band.
Like a true
They're a Christian rock band.
They're a Christian rock band, and they fight with the power of angels behind them to defeat the devils. And then...
heck yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting a little off track here.
Maybe that's... Okay, imagine like this... Okay, this is a little bit different, but imagine this concert's going on. There's all these different stages, and the sound guy just surrounds this whole one stage with just this fiery devil barrier because something goes on. And maybe what you have to do is you have to get out of the barrier. You have to fight your way out. Everyone's stunned. It's Bad News Bears. You fight your way out, and the only way to break through this barrier is by recruiting and protecting and maybe even saving these other bands because portal's been opened. There's just demons going all around the town. You've got to go through, get the other bands that were performing at different stages, bring them to the barrier, and they use the power of music and friendship to bring down the demon barrier so that you can get in again and fight your way to the sound man and then take him out.
So we are confirmed that the sound man was the one who sold himself to the devil, sold his soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm. I like
his
it.
ultimate goal was to be the greatest sound man of all time.
Yep.
And not Rockstar. Right?
I think
absolutely.
So. Or like whether it's revenge, whether it's to be the greatest sound man, I like being the greatest sound man. I do just want to point out that we did a classic filling in the gaps where I feel like in the last 3 minutes of the episode, it's become like so much better, in my opinion.
It's okay. Nobody listened for like the last 30 minutes, so it's perfectly fine.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. They all tone out. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would try to find a way to fight crowd surfing. I think that would be amazing. There'd have to be a way to do that. A fight on the stage would definitely be something. I think introduction of drugs, if your players are comfortable with it, would be really funny because drugs happen at festivals all the time. And so something like that to make one of your players have to deal with the fact that they're on some kind of maybe arcane or something like that, dealing with wild magical surges,
Pixie dust, man.
Mm-hmm.
Pixie dust.
Yeah. I think it would be important to come up with a couple of other things that would be happening at the festival, because it wouldn't be too much fun to just say, okay, there's this huge festival going on and y'all find yourself at this concert.
Yeah.
There should definitely be some choices going on. Just, hey, it's an all-day event. There's a couple of things going on. Later tonight, there's going to be music, and this one band, AC/DC, is going to be playing. It's going to be a great time. But until then, here, have a choice. Do a thing you want to do.
Petting zoos.
Yep. Nothing's more fun than role-playing petting zoos.
Yes. 100%.
Yep.
I pet the animal.
That's definitely where the pixie dust salesman is.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
I want to. Hey man, you want to pet this goat or buy some pixie dust? What? Yeah, I didn't say the last part. Hey. Oh man.
Yeah, but I think like eating food. Okay, one thing I did for a tournament was I had people at the tournament give specific missions to all the players. Like to the rogue player, it was like, hey, there's this person at the festival who is selling pixie dust or who is wearing a certain article of clothing or who does have a certain thing on them. Your mission is to kind of keep an eye out for them and steal this from them. So as everything else is happening, they're doing that. Maybe for the wizard, it's like, hey, have them get into a magical battle, like where they're having like an illusion. I'm thinking of like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where they have to create illusions for the music that's being played, and the crowd votes on which one is better. It's like a mixture of like performance and arcana and illusion. Fighters, it's just a mosh pit, man. You get them in the pit. Like, if I was to tell, I know for a fact that I have one player where if I was to say there's like just some heavy metal thrashing going on and there's a pit and people are pushing each other around, my half-orc druid is going to want to get in the pit, and he's just going to want to push people around. But yeah, I think little things like that like go a long way in making it feel fun and letting them do and play the game.
Oh, I like that. I got a physical and literal representation in my ears of how to play the game. That was incredible right there.
Yeah.
You weaved a tale for me. Also, a henna tattoo station.
Oh, yes.
You know, gotta get that.
Definitely.
Maybe some... Maybe Valley Girl Wizard set up
Valley Girl Wizard
set up a hair braiding stand with glitter.
Of course.
Yeah, and she's all, welcome. You're gonna look so great for the festival today. You could do that. Shannon could be there with a. And
Shannon's the sound girl.
Yeah.
You'd have a dehydration meter running at all times, but like just have exorbitant, insanely high prices on everything.
Oh gosh.
So they're kind of dealing with like just about to pass out while they're trying to do this, but they don't want to spend all the money.
Dude, that could even be fun for like a cleric or a healer. It's just to say like have someone approach them and be like, "Hey, we know that you're a healer.
Everybody's thirsty.
We know you're a healer. We will pay you 100 gold if you work the medical tent for an hour."
Bobby Boucher, we need everybody to get some water. We need water for everybody. Go, I think I can go get some water for everybody.
I'm even just trying to picture Bonba in a medical tent for an hour and just throwing different, there's a guy.
I guess I'm going to have to take care of your leg. It's broken for some reason. Yeah, man, I was partying way too hard in that mosh pit earlier, bro. Oh, this is hey, Rich. Next time when we get back into the Ascent, can we have? Can Cameron and I have? Good old-fashioned rock and roll show?
Yeah, sure. Just watch out for the sound man.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think in all of that, in all that 50-some-odd minutes that we just did, I think we came up with a relatively good, entertaining, fun little one-shot. And I guess that's the goal of the show, right, Rich? Would you say?
That's the goal. That's the goal.
So we got two more things to do. We got the summarization of this most recent episode. That'll be for Rich. And then we also have the synopsis. Yeah, he's ready. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
And then we got copyright struck.
Yep. We lost all of our money. So
all that money $0.
All the money we've been making on this podcast.
But yeah, let me do Rich, a summary real quick, and then Cameron, you can go ahead and do a synopsis for us, which is just you kind of explaining one scene you see in your head as vividly as you want to. But for the summary, kind of what we came up with is there is, in the last 5 minutes, what we came up with is there is a sound man who secretly has made a pact with a demon lord. And your players are coming to the town where there's a music festival going on, and this sound man, maybe because he just is tired of getting beaten down by the band, or maybe because he got into this because he wanted to be a musician and now he's stuck behind the booth. He makes this deal with the devil, signs the contract, and all he has to do is have the band play a certain song a certain way, and if they do, like, he's good. He'll have all the power. When that happens, craziness ensues. Maybe a portal to hell opens up. Maybe there's barriers that surround the bands, and your party has to fight their way through demons, fight their way through just musical barriers, maybe find different bands to have them work together to end this whole ordeal. But the final enemy is the now demonically infused sound man and all of his cables and music and technical know-how. whatever it is. And that's kind of it. There's some fun little mini games and shenanigans before the portal to hell opens up, but that's it in a nutshell. So Cameron, what are you seeing? What's your synopsis?
I think my favorite bit of imagery from this is however your party gets to the stage, because they're gonna immediately think this band is evil, this band is bad. We got to crowd surf our way over there. We've got to push our way through, whatever it is. They get up onto the stage and stuff is going down. The band looks just as confused as they do. And then they turn, and zooming across the field of people at the back, you see the sound man. And he has all of his fingers laid across each individual track mixer, and a dark smile comes across his face as he slowly pushes them all up.
That's beautiful.
And then it's boss fight time.
Boss fight! Dude, I love that. They're like, we don't know what's going on. It must be... What's the sound man's name? We need to give him... I know the episode's over, but I need a good sound man name.
Shannon.
Shannon.
Zane.
The sound man. I love
Shannon the sound man and his evil devil sister Shannon.
Oh gosh. Well, hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Filling in the Gaps. Big thanks to Cameron for joining us from Coventry and from this new awesome Sweeping the Nation podcast called DM's Treehouse. Make sure you guys check it out. Remember to leave a review on the DM's Treehouse, and we will go ahead and pick three of those reviews to do a custom one-shot setting. All you have to do is take a screenshot of your review and send it to either our Discord or send it to us personally at mailfillinginthegaps@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, guys. We know that we're not an actual play podcast. We know that sometimes these ideas are a little all over the place, but we hope that somewhere in the last hour there was some spark of inspiration that was able to give you enough to be able to enjoy playing the next time you sit down with your friends for your next game night. Thanks to the cams, the two best cams in the world, for joining me, and we will see you guys on the next one.